sometimes there's fast processors, slow processors. So in the moment and you don't know what to say, I mean, deer in the headlights, I think there's part of the process of just learning new tools of like, I think that hurts right now, the way that they're talking to me, and being able to say, ouch, that feels painful.
There's just this person that I identify as a bad guy. I act like a victim, or I watched the bad guy hurt someone and now they're a victim. And we are now allies against the bad guy. Now, that is how you begin to propagate and promote a bunch of powerless people. So one of the first things that has to happen is you have to decide no more bad guys, which means we're going to be powerful people. No victims, no bad guys. Just I control me, and I'll be honest with you. You control you, and you be honest with me.
Hello and welcome to the KYLO Show. We are so happy to be here with you today, and we're going to take some really great questions.
Live time.
Live time.
That's it.
It's happening right now.
That's what time it is. It's live time.
It's live time.
Yep.
So you don't want to go anywhere because you don't want to miss it.
Yep.
Let's jump into that first question. Hello, guys. How are you doing today?
Hi, good.
Doing good. So your names are Heinrich and Sine?
Yay.
Okay, wonderful. Well, you're joining us from somewhere outside of California is my guess. Where is that?
We're joining from Pretoria, South Africa.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, amazing. Well, thank you so much for listening to the KYLO Show on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Other end.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, other side, other end.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, we hear you have a question for us, so let's dive into that and see how we can help.
Yeah, great. So maybe just to give some context to our question, in 2018, we were exposed to the whole idea of KYLO, and we started practicing this in our team. And over the last 5-6 years, we've seen multiple engagements in our team. And so last year we saw this incredible team connected, loving one another, being powerful, and entering into this year, we have a team where about 11 of our team members are about 19, 20 years of age, and the rest are between 22 and 30. And so we see this deep contrast between the 2 years, ending one year with a team that's so connected, and yet empowering a new team with the KYLO book, with the conversations, but we see a lack of engagement, a lack of connection. And so the question really is, how in a diverse team like this, where we have people that have 5, 6, 7 years of KYLO experience and people that don't have that, how can we create this team that are really connected? They choose one another, they're powerful, and really they go against the culture of entitlement in their context. So how can we create a team that's so powerful?
So let me see if I understand. Do you have some momentum with some people that have been connected for a while? Yes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have some members that have been on the team for 5 years, 3 years, 4 years. With KYLO at the center, connecting, engaging, and then we have others where this is the first year.
Gotcha.
There's no context.
Okay. Well, it's really the experience of enculturating someone. So that takes a little bit of time. I mean, if you were going to teach people to speak Portuguese, and some of them had 5 years experience of practicing with each other, and then you had some people that were brand new to learning Portuguese, there would be a noticeable struggle and accent and lots of obvious learning going on. Meanwhile, the people that were fluent would keep continuing to do what they do, and that's really the enculturation of the new group to the established group is Don't change anything you've ever done as far as these are what we protect. These are our priorities. These are our practices. And then just be gentle, in that we don't do that here. That's not something we do. Whenever there's somebody finds a bad guy, they want to get the irresponsibility cycle going with a bad guy and a victim. You say, "Oh, we don't do that here. We don't have any bad guys here. We only have good people that make mistakes." So if somebody's hurt you or somebody's scared you, what are you going to do? How will you be talking to them about the problem you have with them? Because you brought the problem to me, and it's a big enough problem to talk to me about it. I'm wondering how quickly you're going to be talking to them about it. And there would the new people to the team would be running into the culture, because those experienced culture carriers would be creating enough momentum so that whenever somebody violated the culture, the new guys would know, oh my gosh, they don't do it like that here. They don't do it like this. And then lots of telling the truth. Mm-hmm. Lots of letting people know how I'm experiencing you. Let me tell you how I experienced you when you acted like that, when you didn't get your way. When you tried to turn our leaders into bad guys because you didn't get your way, that scared me. It made me afraid of you. I'm afraid that you're going to do that to me. And I need to feel protected from your save my life mentality. I need to feel protected from your immaturity at times. I need to feel connected to you. And right now I feel disconnected from you. Lots of I tell you about me, I don't tell you about you, and lots of you listen to me and then you understand. And then I want to hear how you're experiencing me. So lots of truth telling, but also lots of practicing what your team knows is the culture.
Yeah. Is this a business that you guys own and run, or is it like a church team?
Yeah, you can go.
It's like a church team. It's a company that started out from the church. It's called Metamorpho. So it's like a gap year for students, and we have a team facilitating this group of students. So every year we get some students that wants to become interns, and then we have to teach them a new culture again.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like if you got a new puppy and you already had a dog that knew all the house rules, not to piddle on the floor, not to do these certain things, not to bite the children, and you bring in new puppies every single year, it sounds like. So I think there is some reality of what a wonderful opportunity. They get to come into a culture that you guys are protecting and stewarding, and you've got some other people that are seasoned in this helping you do that. I think it really is just the mindset of, okay, you don't realize that's not what we do. And it's just that mindset of adjusting and seeing their awkward stage of, oh, yeah, no, that's not what we do. Instead of being frustrated that they're not in it, they don't have the same value. They're like, why aren't you committed to this? It's so great. They're like, well, I don't know. They have yet to be convinced. So I think I would just keep pursuing this beautiful culture. And, I don't know how long they're in this program, if it's all volunteer. Some years I bet are going to be better than others. And that's okay. And I think the thing that you never change, like my dad said, is these are our pillars. These are our non-negotiables. And if they're not enjoying their time here, you go, you're welcome to go be part of a different team, because this is what we do on this team. And nobody's the bad guy. But I think you just get really, really good and really, really clear at this is what we're protecting. And you say all the time, culture polices itself. And that's what would likely happen.
Yeah, it's and depending on how many new people you add each year, that affects the temperature of your team. So if you have a tub of water that's hot, and then you pour a bucket of cold water in there, it changes a little bit. But if you put 5 buckets of cold water in there, you're like, oh my gosh, the temperature is really affected.
Yeah.
If you put 11 buckets of cold water in there, it's really affected. But the key is keep the water hot. Keep heating the water. And it's not about pouring more buckets of hot water in as much as it is build a system that keeps heating all the water up like a water heater.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it really it just stimulates the thinking. We have a friend last night. He was just sharing as well. He said he was busy just potty training his little boy. And while he was potty training his boy, at one moment he was looking for his boy, and in the shopping center, right next to the stroller, this boy was doing his business.
Yeah.
And he just realized that if he wants his boy to mature, sometimes he's going to have some uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
That are humiliating. And I think we came in with the expectation of last year maybe, and we need to build that system, like you said, that keeps the water warm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not only in the air, but in other places as well.
Right. And so that would be like some sort of training, some sort of mentoring, some sort of method of cleaning up messes, Mm-hmm. So if the dad gets really mad at the little boy in the shopping center at that moment, that's a setback. If the dad ignores it and they have to clean up the mess, then that's just the way we do things here. So there will be some people that make messes out of ignorance. There'll be some people that make messes out of bad habits. And then there'll be some people that make messes because they don't want to change. And those are all handled differently. So you want to be able to tell the difference between learning and resistance, because you have very little tolerance for resistance and you have nothing but time and patience for learning. Mm-hmm. Great question, guys.
Yeah. Thanks so much for, sounds like you're stewarding what you've been given well and helping raise up some new strong leaders. Whether they thank you or not, I would say thank you for doing a good job.
We will thank you, though, and say thank you for your partnership. Yes.
They probably need it more than they realize. So good job, guys. Keep it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much,
Awesome.
and thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. See you later, guys.
God bless.
God bless you guys.
Oh, to be leading a team of young adults.
Yeah.
And not have them be entitled.
Yeah. Yeah. The entitled piece really is what happens when you forget gratitude, mm-hmm. When you just aren't paying attention to all that leaders are doing that is beneficial, that all that leaders are doing to change the spirit of this world in your environment, whether it's your family or your workplace or your church or whatever it might be. Just being grateful for leaders, I think, is a super smart thing for everybody to do, but especially young people. It's not difficult to be judgmental and opinionated when you've never built anything in your life.
Sure.
And it like, well, I was, my parents should have, this pastor should, my boss should, like, you may just settle down. Just settle down and say thank you a whole lot more than you do. And pay attention, because you probably are in for a super education if you'll stay grateful. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to do sometimes in some environments you need to leave. You just need to leave, okay? But most environments, you need to stay engaged, be grateful, learn what's important to the leaders, figure out how to help them accomplish that, but maybe make some cultural adjustments on the way so that everyone actually enjoys coming to work or being in this church environment or whatever it might be.
So what happens when, it sounds like they went to a school of some kind and maybe they're now a level of leadership within this team or something like that. I don't know. And so they're being empowered. And that empowerment gives you maybe a belief that you know all or should have a valued opinion higher than your leader. And your leader doesn't listen to you and you're not really ready to hear feedback. So you take on offense. Because I think that's one of the things I've seen happen is that offense starts to happen quickly because I believe that I was right. How do we not do that or even navigate it as a leader? Like if they got someone on their team that, thought they should do something different and they said, well, no, this is how we handle conflict. And, I'm not I'm not doing that, whatever. And then they get offended and then they are now communicating their offense and almost intimidating you. I'm offended and you're, without saying it, you're going to cause church hurt to my life because I'm offended. What do we do with that when that starts to bubble up? Because I think sometimes leaders feel intimidated by that, and so they'll adjust. Or what's the right stance to do? Like, how do you resolve when offense starts to show up?
Well, as long as you have a culture that leadership manages themselves, like I'm going to control myself, so I'm not going to try to control you. This really is a power struggle. And power struggles, they start with toddlers, it's that early, that toddler's going, I don't like your answer.
I don't want to put my shoes on.
Your will versus my will, baby. Let's do this. And it keeps going through forever. It just goes forever. So I think the key for the leader is I control me and I control the resources, the opportunities, and the permissions of this environment. I don't control what you do with your offense, with your attitude, with your words, even with your character. I don't control any of that. But I do inform you of how I'm experiencing you and the consequences of your unwillingness to adjust to what I need in order for you to participate in this. And that's our message to families as well. It's like, I don't control these children. I control a few things. I'll work on that, starting with myself, and then I'll work on the other things. And I'll just let you learn around me, but I don't control you. So I think the real trap for leaders is when you start trying to control people. That's where the intimidation comes from. That's where the manipulation comes from. That's where the domination comes from, is I think I can make you do what I want done.
No. They sound like they've come off of a really great year.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's happened?
What's happening?
What has happened to this year? It's broken. How do we get that back? Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, we do school, our KYLO University, and every single year is so different. You jump on there at the beginning of the year and all those faces pop up there and you're looking at them. And the feel in the room is completely different than the last year.
Yeah, or the end of last year.
Totally.
Where everybody's all pulled together. Everything's a unit, and then you come back to a group of strangers.
Crickets.
Okay, nobody knows each other. I don't know any of these people.
Yeah, so clear expectations of what, as you start new, that's one of the other big things I was hearing from them is knowing what to expect and how to build. And I love the systems, because it would be really good for them to kind of walk them through some things in the beginning, and maybe having some of the other ones that have been there to kind of share their experience. But they're starting from scratch, which can be deflating, especially if you're coming off of a high.
Yeah, and that idea of a water heater, the hot water running through a system that's heating up the water, even though all the water got cooled off by 11 buckets of cold water, eventually it's all getting reheated because of the system. But even the hot water that was in there has to go through the whole
System.
reheat with the new ones. So it really is a process.
Yeah. Do they work as the mechanism to heat the water? Would they be
Absolutely? They're going to be they'll be the heating unit.
Yeah.
Well, they just keep saying the same things over and over, and all that water goes through, and then the temperature starts to rise, and we get right back to where we were. And then a bunch of people leave again, and they throw some more cold water in there. Yeah.
That's great.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that's good. Well, let's talk about our sponsor about the show.
Okay.
Pro-Life Coffee Roasters. Again, if you don't know, they give 10% of their proceeds to pro-life organizations and to Loving on Purpose because they believe, just like us, that whole healthy families are going to save the world.
The pro-family.
They are. They're pro-family. They are looking and working with kingdom-minded people in Ethiopia, which, I mean, I've learned a lot about coffee since they became a sponsor. I didn't realize that Ethiopia was like the birthplace of coffee.
Well,
I didn't really... I mean, I sure figured it was somewhere over there, but I didn't know that was the one.
Arabic?
Yeah,
Arabic?
You guys should just know that we've listened to YouTube videos on how to say this word.
Yeah.
We have,
Arabic. I think it's Arabic.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Sounds good.
Yes. It'd make sense if it was like Arabian coffee, but it's Arabic.
A song then that's in my head, but
yeah.
I won't.
Birthplace.
All that to say, we love them. We're so excited that they are partnering with us because they are very much like-minded and the same heart as us. So if you're interested in joining us with a great cup of coffee, you're going to go to prolifecoffeeroasters.com/KYLO and you get an extra 15% off. So
just for trying good stuff.
So good. All right. Well, let's jump into our next question. Hi, Anna. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for joining us on the KYLO Show. Looking forward to hearing your question. So,
yes.
How can we help you?
Yeah, so I had a recent marriage counseling session, where I discovered that I have some of these, what I like to call like covert narcissistic tendencies, meaning just more passive aggressive, like I struggle having boundaries in conversations. And after speaking with this counselor, I'm working on trying to like be more direct, be clear in my communication, stop mirroring like unhealthy behavior in other people. I'm also learning that I have somewhat surrounded myself with people who have these similar behaviors. I think it came from obviously like my family, and it's just kind of like all around me. It feels like now this powerless communication. I'm in the process of kind of learning how to have boundaries in these relationships. I guess my question is, if you are in a close relationship with somebody who continues after being confronted, to have these kind of like subtle passive aggressive comments, is there ever a place of like, I guess, how would you respond in a conversation like that? How do you be direct? And then is there ever a place of breaking off a relationship while trying to, keep your love on if this like doesn't work out?
Sure. I think what I'm hearing you say is you've discovered like, oh, I'm bringing passive aggressiveness to my protective measure in feeling powerless. And I don't know your personality, but maybe part of deflecting, setting a boundary in the moment is also due to being a slower processor, unless you're trying to be hurtful. But I doubt that you're trying to be hurtful.
Totally.
It also sounds like you're discovering this about yourself, wanting to grow, and then you're surrounded with, the company of people are not so healthy. And I'm trying to change, but they don't seem like they're trying to change. How do I keep relationship, or do I keep relationship? What's the healthy boundary? That's kind of what I'm hearing a bit in your question.
Yep.
Great. So first thought I have is, sometimes there's fast processors, slow processors. So in the moment and you don't know what to say, I mean, deer in the headlights, I think there's part of the process of just learning new tools of like, I think that hurts right now, the way that they're talking to me, and being able to say, ouch, that feels painful. And that be maybe all that you do in that moment. You don't have to justify, you don't have to defend that it was painful. You don't have to do anything except for, ouch, that's painful when you say things like that. And that's the boundary right there. And that's you being assertive in your communication rather than feeling like you have to have like, all right, we're going to war and I'm going to tell you, why you're wrong or defend yourself. But you just learn to communicate or recognize, I love that my body communicates with me. I am more the aggressive style communicator. I'm not passive aggressive. Everyone knows I'm aggressive. I'm coming for you. That's my problem. I have to work out. But my body tells me when that's about to happen. And I have a trigger point, which is that my heart starts racing. I start getting flush. So what is your body trying to communicate with you when you are going into that passive aggressive state? Is it trying to trigger you to saying like, hey, you need something right here? I think we have a course on Life Academy. I don't know if you saw it. It's called Overcome Your Overwhelm with Dr. Margaret Naguib. She's phenomenal. And her ability to help us get in tune with, we've got a need going on and I'm not knowing how to express it. She talks through that. It would be potentially really helpful for you. Yeah. But I think there's just the practice of being assertive to say, ouch, that's painful. I'd love to have this conversation when you're going to be kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, you don't even have to do much more than that. If they're going to continue being disrespectful, you get to walk away.
Okay. Interesting.
And, as far as, being a powerless communicator, it's not unusual to look for a bad guy. Like there's a bad guy in this relationship. There's a bad guy in this conversation. There's a bad guy in this friend group. There's a bad guy at work. There's a bad guy in our family. There's a bad guy. There's just this person that I identify as a bad guy. I act like a victim, or I watched the bad guy hurt someone and now they're a victim. And so we have a sidebar between the either me as the victim or them as the victim, and we are now allies against the bad guy. Now, that is how you begin to propagate and promote a bunch of powerless people. So if you have a whole friend group of powerless communicators, no doubt you guys are all taking turns being the bad guy and being the victims. So one of the first thing that has to happen is you have to decide no more bad guys. There are no more bad guys. I will not allow myself to have a bad guy in a conversation, in a relationship, in my family, in my friend group. We have great people who make mistakes. And I will be talking to the person who hurt me, who scared me, who I felt powerless with. I'll be talking to them about my experience with them. I won't be talking to my other friends about my experience with this person. And then when they come to me and they say, hey, I'd like to tell you about my experience with that person, you say, but have you talked to them yet? And they say, no, there's no talking to them. They're a bad guy. And you say, you know what? We don't have bad guys here. We have people who make mistakes. So you need to go talk to them because I'm going to let them know that you have a problem with them. Are you trying to be the bad guy now? Because now I'm the victim of you. You say, we don't have bad guys here. And if you and I need to work something out, I'm certainly happy to work it out with you. But I'll be talking to George at 1:00 today to let him know that you, Helen, have a problem with him. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we eliminate our environment of bad guys. Therefore, we eliminate our environment of powerless victims.
Okay.
And we only have powerful people here that are going to KYLO 5 each other. Do you know what that means, KYLO 5?
Somewhat. I've been listening. I've just started listening to a lot of your podcasts. But
Okay, so there you go. This is the process. I will KYLO 5, and I'll require you to do the same thing, which means we're going to be powerful people. No victims, no bad guys. Just I control me, and I'll be honest with you. You control you, and you be honest with me. And this is going to move its way towards a really healthy connection.
yeah. No, that's great. That's great.
And it sounds like that you're on a process of getting healthy and discovering what you need to work on.
Yeah.
And
congratulations.
You may be the forerunner for your group, but
yes,
I don't, it's not a bad thing at all. It really is hopefully be inspiring to everybody else. And that look at the health and the connection we could have in our relationships rather than what we've got going on here.
Yeah.
So.
Well done.
Yeah.
You're a forerunner. You're breaking dysfunction off your family. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much for calling in, and thanks for being a new listener. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you think about the covert narcissist or all the narcissist talk? It feels like sometimes there's so much of the talk around it, and I just think, yes, there are narcissists, and sometimes we get that label, but really it's just being a powerless person. Or is it?
It's
the same.
It's a lot of,
I mean, it's just to have a therapist say that you were covert narcissist. I'm like, wow, geez.
Well, it's faddish to talk like that. You know, for a long time, everybody was multiple personality, and before that, everybody was ADD, attention deficit, and then before that, it helps you have a sense of control when you slap a label on something. But what's most important in this case really is that if you really are a DSM-5 classified narcissist, if you've been given that diagnosis, then you got some stuff going on. The best way I heard it described was like an egg without a shell. You feel like an egg without a shell on the inside, and you're just running all over the place. And so you try to control everything on the outside of you because everything on the inside of you feels so vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And okay, well, that's terror. You live in terror.
Yeah.
And you look like you're in charge of everything, but it's just an absolute adrenaline overload.
Right.
And so you only allow people in your life that you can control. Mm-hmm. Well, run away from these people. What the heck? But it is a dance. I mean, Anna here is much more in I'm learning things about how my communication style is hurting me and hurting those people I love. And you're like, that's, it's unfortunate you get a tag like narcissist anything. I mean, there's memes out there that are, trying to teach us all how to keep perpetuating pretty harsh judgments. Because when you get into personality disorders, you get into other terms like incurable.
Right.
And it's like, it's not true. It's not true. I mean, I've watched some pretty severe cases turn around really because of the lordship of Jesus. Mm-hmm. That's how it turns around. You are no longer Lord and Master of your world, and you submit. And if you will, you'll have a different fruit on your tree than if you are just absolutely terrorized from morning to night.
Right. Well, I mean, Unpunishable, you talk through quite a wild story there, mm-hmm. which, talk about the healing, redemptive power of Jesus.
Right.
And so
Jonathan Welton did a great job. Jonathan and Karen both did just a fantastic job of turning some things around, mm-hmm. and it's there's some destructive behaviors out there when you feel so blown up inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the passive aggressive, the slow to process, the trying to avoiding boundaries. I mean, that's why I'm so grateful for, DISC, the Enneagram, Strength Finders. I mean, all these places just help kind of give language to what am I needing, what even your upbringing, what you brought into this, what I was taught. It sounds like she's got some family dynamics that this is all still contributing. This is the normal. This is the normal. And she's like, I don't want this normal anymore. So being able to lean in and to change that and the KYLO 5 and listening to the KYLO Show, all those things help. I think the Life Academy courses, we've got all sorts of resources that kind of walk you through the process as you're learning to get some tools to throw in there. So I stop this behavior.
Yeah. When she was referring to, is there a time to walk away? And we didn't get to answer that part, but it's really about what will I no longer participate in. That's the real boundary is I'm going to finally let go of what I've done for a very long time. I've hated it the whole time I did it. I hated it when I did it. I hate it when other people do it, but I still do it. It isn't until you let go of that you can actually grab onto there are no bad guys. I don't blame anybody. I'll take responsibility for me. I'll be respectful at all times. I'll control me. It isn't until you let go of all that other stuff that you can actually embrace and embody the new that you want. That's setting boundaries.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a good illustration of letting go and getting rid of boundaries. Getting rid of not boundaries, getting rid of bad guys. I think that's the hardest part for people is that there's not a bad guy that you get to blame or I mean to really if Christians are meant to literally love their enemies, we sure do miss that one.
Pretty hard.
We miss that one.
Pretty hard. Yeah, we love a good enemy.
Make enemies? Is that what the Bible says? I will make enemies and keep a record of all wrong for you that you've done.
That's the new bad guy version.
I feel like that is more accurate to what tends to happen. So laying down the bad guy card and picking up the I'll manage me card.
Yeah. Control your freaking self.
Yeah. Again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
That is the goal. So, well, hopefully we helped Anna. Hopefully she felt like we were able to give her some tools or at least point her in the right direction to keep the momentum that she's got as she's plowing away and being the forerunner. And I don't know what she said marriage in the beginning. So I don't know what that dynamic looks like, but hopefully she doesn't stop.
Yep.
So.
Yep. God bless her momentum.
Well, thanks for joining us on the KYLO Show, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening to the KYLO Show. To submit a question, go to thekyloshow.com. Never miss an episode by subscribing to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the Loving on Purpose YouTube channel.
And don't forget, whole healthy families are going to save the world. See you next time.